Episode 4 feels different from the very first minute, and that difference matters when we reach the ending. This episode slows the story down on purpose. Instead of big fights or shocking twists, it focuses on fear, doubt, and pressure. The characters are not running anymore. They are thinking. They are watching each other. And most importantly, they are hiding things. This slow pace is not a weakness. It is the setup. Every conversation feels loaded, every pause feels planned, and every look between characters carries weight. By the time the episode reaches its final moments, the tension has already been built quietly in the background. What makes this episode stand out is how it removes comfort. There is no clear hero moment here. No one truly wins. The world feels colder and less forgiving. Survival is no longer about strength, but about control. Characters who once believed in rules and systems now begin to see cracks forming. The episode keeps asking one simple question without ever saying it out loud. Who can you really trust in a world that rewards lies? This question becomes the heart of the ending. And understanding this mood is key to understanding why the final scene feels so unsettling. Throughout the episode, the story keeps pulling characters closer to difficult choices. Small actions begin to matter more than big plans. Words spoken earlier return with new meaning. When the ending arrives, it does not feel sudden. It feels earned. The episode trains the viewer to stop expecting comfort and start expecting consequences. This is why the ending hits harder emotionally than any action scene could. It confirms that the world of Fallout is no longer about hope alone, but about the price that hope demands. The final scene of episode 4 is quiet, but every second is heavy. There are no long speeches explaining what just happened. Instead, the show trusts the viewer to notice expressions, silence, and body language. One character makes a choice that cannot be taken back. On the surface, it may seem small, but the meaning behind it is massive. This is not a choice made out of anger. It is made out of fear and survival. And that is what makes it dangerous. As the scene unfolds, the camera lingers longer than usual. It wants you to feel uncomfortable. The silence is loud because it forces you to think. This is where many viewers miss important details. A look that lasts a second too long. A pause before a response. A hand that hesitates. These moments reveal more than words ever could. The ending is not confusing because it is unclear. It is confusing because it shows how people justify their actions. When they believe there is no better option, the real shock of the ending is not what happens, but what does not happen. No one stops the choice. No one speaks against it. This tells us something powerful about the world these characters now live in. Moral lines are fading. Survival has become the excuse for everything. The final image of the episode locks this idea in place. It tells the audience that the story has crossed a line, and going back is no longer possible. The meaning behind the ending of episode 4 goes deeper than plot. This moment is about control. Who has it, who wants it, and who is willing to lose their soul to keep it? Fallout has always explored what happens when systems fail. But this episode focuses on what happens when people fail themselves. The ending shows that even good intentions can lead to terrible outcomes when fear takes over. Trust is the real theme here. The episode slowly removes trust piece by piece until nothing feels stable. Characters begin to rely on logic instead of empathy. They stop asking what is right and start asking what is necessary. The ending reflects this shift perfectly. It shows a world where survival is no longer shared. It is personal. And when survival becomes personal, betrayal becomes easier. This ending is not meant to shock you. It is meant to sit with you. It asks the viewer to understand why the choice was made, even if they hate it. That discomfort is intentional. Fallout does not want easy answers. It wants you to see how ordinary people slowly become part of something cruel without realizing it. Episode 4 marks the moment where the story fully embraces this idea. The impact of the ending will follow the characters long after episode 4 ends. One character leaves this episode changed forever, even if they do not realize it yet. Their choice creates a ripple that will affect every relationship moving forward. Trust that was already fragile may never fully return. Power dynamics shift silently, setting up future conflict that feels unavoidable. What makes this ending so strong is that it does not promise immediate consequences. Instead, it promises slow ones. Guilt, suspicion, and fear will grow over time. This is far more dangerous than instant punishment. The episode ends by reminding us that Fallout is not just about the end of the world. It is about what people become after the end. Episode 4 stands as a turning point. From this moment on, the story cannot return to simpler choices. The ending closes one door and opens many darker ones. It prepares the audience for a future where every decision will carry weight, and every action will leave a scar. That is why this ending matters. Not because of what it shows, but because of what it sets in motion. The final scene of Fallout Season 2 episode 4 works because it refuses to guide the audience. There is no clear explanation, no comforting line of dialogue, and no dramatic music telling you how to feel. Instead, the scene unfolds slowly, almost uncomfortably, as if the story wants you to sit inside the moment rather than escape it. The camera stays longer than expected, forcing you to notice small movements and quiet reactions. This is not an ending meant to be rushed. It is designed to sink in. What actually happens in the final moments is simple on the surface, but heavy in meaning. A character makes a decision that changes the balance of power. Even though it may not look like a big move right away, there is hesitation before the choice, which tells us this was not planned far in advance. This matters because it shows how pressure and fear can force people to act against their own values. The choice is not made because it is right, but because it feels like the only option left. One of the most important details in the ending is silence. Characters who usually speak up say nothing. This silence is not empty. It is filled with understanding. Everyone in the room knows what just happened, even if no one says it out loud. That shared silence becomes a form of agreement, and that is what makes the moment disturbing. When no one objects, responsibility spreads across everyone. The ending quietly suggests that guilt is no longer owned by one person alone. The episode also uses visual storytelling to deepen the meaning of the ending. The lighting grows colder, faces appear harder, and the space between characters feels wider. These choices are not random. They reflect emotional distance and broken trust. Even characters standing close together feel separated. The world feels less human in these final moments, as if something vital has been lost without anyone noticing right away. Another key part of the ending is what does not happen. There is no rescue, no sudden interruption, and no unexpected twist to undo the decision. Fallout allows the moment to stand exactly as it is. This tells the audience that the story has crossed into a more serious phase. From here on, actions will not be erased or forgiven easily. Consequences will grow slowly, following the characters instead of crashing into them all at once. The ending also challenges the viewer's expectations. Many people expect Fallout to deliver answers quickly, especially after building tension throughout the episode. Instead, episode 4 ends by creating questions. Was this choice truly necessary? Could someone have stopped it? And most importantly, will the characters be honest with themselves about what they have done? These unanswered questions are the real ending. They stay with the audience long after the screen goes dark. By ending the episode this way, the show reminds us that survival in this world is not just physical, it is moral. Every choice chips away at who the characters are, even when they believe they are doing the right thing. Episode 4's final scene does not shout its message. It whispers it, trusting the audience to feel the weight without being told how to react. That quiet confidence is what makes this ending powerful and unsettling at the same time. The ending of episode 4 is not just about what happened, but about what it means for the soul of the story. This moment is designed to show how survival slowly changes people from the inside. Earlier in the season, characters still believed there were lines they would never cross. Episode 4 proves those lines were never strong to begin with. Fear does not break people all at once. It bends them slowly until one day they no longer recognize themselves. That is exactly what this ending represents. At its core, the ending is about control. Not loud control through force, but quiet control through decisions made behind closed doors. The character at the center of the final moment believes they are taking control of their future. In reality, they are giving something up. They are trading honesty for safety and trust for certainty. Fallout has always shown that control is an illusion in a broken world, and episode 4 reinforces this idea in a painful way. The more control someone thinks they have, the more they lose their humanity. The episode also explores how people justify their actions when they feel trapped. The ending does not paint the choice as evil, it paints it as understandable. That is what makes it dangerous. When people begin to believe that terrible actions are necessary, those actions become easier to repeat. The story is warning us that the real danger is not monsters or radiation, but the slow acceptance of moral shortcuts, once those shortcuts feel normal. There is no clear way back. Trust plays a major role in the meaning of the ending throughout the episode. Trust is tested again and again by the final scene. Trust is no longer something shared, it becomes something guarded. Characters stop believing in each other and start believing only in outcomes. This shift changes everything. Relationships are no longer built on loyalty, but on usefulness. The ending shows the exact moment when trust stops being a strength and starts becoming a weakness. Another powerful idea in the ending is silence. Silence becomes a language of its own. Characters do not speak because speaking would force them to face what they have allowed to happen. Silence protects them from guilt, at least for now. But Fallout makes it clear that silence never truly erases responsibility, it only delays it. The longer the silence lasts, the heavier it becomes. This is why the ending feels so uncomfortable. It traps both the characters and the audience in that silence. The episode also reflects one of Fallout's core messages: survival often demands sacrifice. But the cost is rarely clear in the moment. The ending shows a sacrifice being made without fully understanding its future price. No one knows yet how far the damage will spread. That uncertainty is intentional. It mirrors real life, where people often make choices thinking they are solving one problem, only to create many more. Episode 4's ending is not meant to be shocking or exciting. It is meant to be honest. It shows how ordinary people slowly become part of something darker. Not because they want to, but because they feel they have no other option. This is the true meaning behind the ending. It is not about good versus evil, it is about survival versus conscience, and how easily conscience can lose when fear takes the lead. The ending of episode 4 does not end when the screen fades to black. It continues inside the characters, shaping who they will become next. One character in particular walks away from this episode changed, even if they do not fully understand it yet. The choice made in the final moments becomes a quiet weight they will carry forward. It will affect how they speak, how they decide, and how they look at others. Fallout shows us that change does not always arrive with regret right away. Sometimes it arrives as silence and denial. This ending reshapes relationships in subtle but powerful ways. Trust, once damaged, does not break loudly, it weakens slowly. Characters who once stood together now feel distant, even when they share the same space. Conversations will feel different after this moment. Words will carry hidden meanings. Simple questions will sound like accusations. The ending plants the seed of doubt. And doubt is one of the most dangerous forces in this world. It spreads quietly, changing alliances without anyone announcing it. Power also shifts in this episode, but not in an obvious way. No one declares victory, no one claims control. Yet one character gains an unseen advantage simply because they acted while others stayed silent. Fallout often shows that power belongs to those who move first, not those who are right. Episode 4 reinforces this idea. The ending rewards action, even when that action is morally wrong. This creates a dangerous pattern that may repeat itself later in the season. Guilt is another consequence that begins here, even if it is not spoken. Some characters will try to bury it by focusing on survival. Others will pretend the choice was necessary and move on. But guilt has a way of resurfacing at the worst times. Fallout has always treated guilt as a slow-burning force, not an instant punishment. The ending of episode 4 starts that fire. Even if the flames are not visible yet, the episode also changes how the audience should view future choices after this ending. It becomes clear that no decision will be simple anymore. Characters are now capable of crossing lines they once avoided. This does not make them villains. It makes them human in a broken world. Fallout refuses to divide its characters into heroes and monsters. Instead, it shows how survival pushes everyone into gray areas where right and wrong blur together. Perhaps the most important impact of the ending is emotional distance. Characters begin to protect themselves by feeling less. This emotional shutdown is a survival tactic, but it comes at a cost. When people stop feeling, they stop caring about consequences beyond their own safety. Episode 4 marks the moment where emotional armor starts forming. It will keep characters alive, but it will also isolate them. By the time episode 4 ends, the story has quietly moved into a darker phase. The characters are no longer reacting to the world, they are shaping it, even when they do not like what it asks of them. The ending matters because it proves that the biggest threats ahead will not come from outside forces alone, but from the choices already made. Fallout reminds us that once a line is crossed, it is never as clear again. Episode 4 hides many of its strongest messages in small visual details rather than big plot points. These details are easy to miss on a first watch, but they add deep meaning to the ending once you notice them. Fallout has always used background objects, camera placement, and environment design to tell a second story beneath the main one. In this episode, those hidden elements quietly support the darker turn the story takes in its final moments. One of the most important hidden elements in the ending is the setting itself. The space where the final scene takes place feels closed, tight, and controlled. There is very little open space, which creates a sense of pressure. This is not accidental. The environment reflects the mental state of the characters. They feel trapped, even if no one has physically locked them in. Fallout often uses locations to show emotional truth, and episode 4 does this perfectly. The walls feel closer because the characters' options are shrinking. Background objects also play a key role. Items that once represented safety or order now feel cold and lifeless. Fallout is careful with symbolism. And Episode 4 uses familiar objects to show how meaning changes over time. Something that once stood for hope may now represent control or false security. These quiet visual changes suggest that the world itself is shifting along with the characters. The ending does not need to explain this shift because it shows it instead. Another subtle detail is how characters are framed in the final scene. Some are shown alone, even when others are nearby. This visual separation reinforces the emotional distance created by the ending. Fallout uses framing to show who is truly connected and who is already drifting away. Even characters who agree in silence are no longer standing on equal ground. The camera makes this imbalance clear without using words. There are also small moments of hesitation that act as hidden warnings, a pause before touching an object, a glance towards something familiar, a breath held slightly too long. These moments suggest that the characters understand the weight of what is happening even if they refuse to say it out loud. Fallout often shows that awareness comes before regret. Episode 4 plants these moments carefully, hinting that consequences are coming even if the characters believe they have moved on. For viewers familiar with Fallout's larger themes, the ending also echoes ideas seen throughout the franchise. Power structures always promise safety, but they slowly demand obedience in return. Episode 4's ending reflects this cycle through small choices rather than big speeches. The hidden details suggest that the characters are stepping into a system that will eventually control them, even if they believe they are in control now. These hidden elements matter because they prepare the audience for what comes next. Fallout rarely changes direction suddenly, it signals its turns quietly, allowing viewers to feel the shift before they fully understand it. Episode 4's ending is filled with these signals. They may not stand out on the surface, but together they create a clear message. The story is moving toward deeper conflict, and the cost will be personal. By using symbols, silence, and space, Episode 4's ending rewards careful viewers. It reminds us that Fallout is not just about what characters do, but about what surrounds them, what they ignore, and what they choose not to say. These hidden details turn the ending into more than a plot moment. They turn it into a warning about where this story is headed next.